Я подтверждение ситуации передаю настройку. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One, obviously display.
Vibrate.
Well, there you go.
I guess I'm gonna have
You are an influencer, homeboy.
I am not an influencer. Never call me that again.
My kids do that. My sons are like, well, you know you're an influencer. I'm like, stop. Don't. I'm not fucking influencer.
Shut your fucking cake hole.
I'm a fucking author. I'm a small arms and tactics instructor.
And a talk show host.
And a talk show host.
Yeah.
And a producer and a writer.
Okay.
I just went nuclear on this one.
Are you rolling, Marty?
Yeah, we're rolling, baby.
Okay.
How about
All right, let me get
introducing
some other
us
people.
and starting this thing?
Well, I just want to make sure everybody got the shenanigans out of their system there. Shenanigans are always good, so.
Shenanigans?
Shenanigans. I think we got everybody,
They've
too.
got the cheese sticks and all the shit on the walls.
I think this is everybody we're going to have, so we'll get started.
All right.
So, Leadheads, welcome into this month's edition of the Talking Lead AK Corner. We are bringing you all the AK Leducation this year. Season 5 of the AK Corner. And, 5, baby. 5. 5 years of the Talking Lead AK Corner. 10 years of the Talking Lead podcast.
That's right.
10 and a half at this point. We're at our 10 and a half year mark. What about Student of the Gun? How long you guys been rolling on the podcast?
Same
You've
as
been
you.
longer than that.
You got like 2 months on us.
I beat you by 2 months.
Yep.
But you were doing TV stuff prior to that, weren't you?
Yeah, I started TV in 2010, 2011.
Yeah. So you've been doing it longer than I have. So that voice you hear, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than the pimp hand of America himself, Professor Paul Markel, join us. So you know it's going to be a good episode with Paul on here. Also joining us is my co-host, because he's been on more than not this season, is our good buddy, author, AK expert, former Spetsnaz, Marco Vorobiev, ladies and gentlemen. Marco, welcome in.
Hey, nice to be here again. I'm becoming the regular.
Did you do some bacon shots before you got on?
What kind of shots?
Some bacon. Remember we did the vodka bacon
Bacon
shots?
vodka?
Oh, yeah. No, but we can do it I can do it while we progress into the pot. Oh, there you go.
There you go. I've got.
Yeah, it's a bacon vodka that's actually distilled by Ugly Dog Distillery out of Chelsea, Michigan, which is only about 10 miles away from here.
Nice.
And so you drink it. It's like you take it down like a low-quality vodka, but it comes back as if you just ate a pack of bacon.
It was good. I can attest to that. Do they?
Oh, yeah, we hit it at NRA, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We had that. We had like 4 different ones.
Yeah, we had the top of the line one, and then we had didn't we have the cucumber too?
Yeah, we had the cucumber. We had the kerosene. And there was another. I can't remember what it was, but they were all high quality.
I ended up
Usually
with
every
with a
time
bottle.
Show, there's this amazing Marco's amazing alcoholic adventure during the SHOT Show or NRA. I always bring like 4 or 5 different flasks.
And they are always welcome too. So don't stop that tradition.
No, I'm not intending to. So we'll continue as long as I can walk.
So this is kind of an NRA reunion here too, because also joining us, we've got our good friend, longtime friend and guest of the show, probably since almost the beginning, Joe Meaux with Aklys Defense, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I guess I usually bring bourbon to NRA and SHOT Show events. So I'll bring several bottles of bourbon.
I think we should have like designated days. So one day's vodka,
Bourbon
one
day.
day's bourbon, one day's tequila.
That's interesting, Joe, because I didn't get any bourbon from you this year.
I didn't bring any this year.
Ah.
Well, actually, I did. I did the SHOT Show. I didn't bring it to NRA because I flew to NRA.
Yeah, that makes it a
And
little
we
harder.
normally drive, but flew up and flew down.
Just pack it in a suitcase and check it in.
I usually do
Like I
carry
do.
normally.
You can get it duty free at the
Checking, I'm
airport.
usually checking heavy.
Are we do what's
Take
NRA?
less underwear, bring more vodka. You know, I always say.
Where's NRA next year?
Atlanta?
Really?
I think it is.
I think it's Atlanta.
Marco, can you turn your volume up a little bit on your end, please?
Let's see.
A little bit softer than the other guys. So this episode, Leadheads, or if you didn't listen to the last episode, make sure you go to the last episode. And Paul, were you on the last episode?
No, I was not.
No, that's the one that we did with Marco and CJ, Pioneer Arms, when we did the interview with them, and we had Mike Myers with M&M Industries.
Oh yeah, you did that one. You recorded that one
from NRA.
Is that at the NRA?
Yeah. So that was our last episode. So I kind of made an AK Corner episode out of that one because it was chock full of good.
The one before that was just you and I.
Just you and I.
Isn't that a song?
Wasn't it? Just you and I?
The AK Corner? I think the very first episode of this season was us.
There you go.
Because we did the East German AK prior to the NRA. That was a good episode. Had a fun time doing that episode. So this one, we've designated a country, and we're going to do the Romanian AK in this episode. So we're going to talk all things Romanian AK. I made a post, or actually Evan made a post for me asking for your questions, and we'll go through your listener questions. If we don't address them during the main part, then we'll hit them at the end with the listener questions. And we're going to be giving away some awesome stuff from our sponsors. We've got Mission First Tactical, who make our awesome dump trays with our logo on there. I think we're actually going to be giving away some AK grips because they make AK grips at Mission First Tactical. And I've got several of my AKs back there that have those grips on them. They're really nice. I like them. They're some of my favorite AK grips. So we'll be giving away a set of those. We'll be giving away Seal 1, a complete gun cleaning kit from Seal 1. Seal 1 and done. Works great on AKs, keeps the corrosion away. And then we're also going to be giving away, there was something else. I can't remember what it is now, but are you going to give away that?
No.
Joe? Joe's holding up an AK.
You want to give away a can?
A can?
Yeah.
Like a silencer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, a can of Bud Light.
This episode, you want to do that to one of our listeners?
Dude, I've got a great Bud Light story.
Okay, we'll talk about that. All right, so
Yeah.
I guess we're going to give away an Aklys Defense can. So, ba-boom. There you go. So, our listeners...
giving away stuff. I'm like, I figure...
The luckiest listeners alive. Yeah, could use one for these.
We'll come up with some cool trivia question or something.
Okay, however you want to do it. I mean, it's your can
Favorite
to give away.
question.
So, there you go, listeners. The Romanian AKM. I don't think they have an AK-47, do they, Marco? Did they ever make a milled?
They don't. No, they don't. And they didn't call it. They did designate it. So the gun was developed and then subsequently adopted, developed in 63 and adopted in 65. And it was designated by the Cougar factory as PM63.
PM63?
Hence the PM63 from Poland.
Look at that.
But no, I'm saying that was a copy of a Soviet AKM. If anybody wants to take over the history of this thing, you're welcome to, interject anytime you want.
You kick us off, and then we'll add to it as you go.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so
because you did write the book.
They didn't have the AK-47s per se, the milled receiver variants. So they went in 1963, obviously joining the Warsaw Pact. They were going to standardize on the equipment on small arms in particular, And then so the Soviets afforded them, I guess, a license, if you can say it. But they just basically helped them to develop their own AKMs. So because they had a gun building capability, the Russians didn't want to build the guns for all the gun block, and the countries that have the capability, firearm building capabilities, they simply help them with equipment and basically, give them the blueprints and all that, and then they established the quality controlled by Soviet engineers, and for the time being until they would kick into production, and then of course they cut them loose and let them do it on their own. So the gun was had been supplied to Romanian military, started to be supplied in 1965, designated as PM-63, as we know today as Wasser.
The Wasser, which, can you say that? What Wasser?
Hang on, I can probably...
It's Wassenaar Arrangement Semi-Automatic Rifles. Wassenaar? Wassenaar. Yeah,
Wassenaar Arrangement Semi-Automatic Rifles. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's how I guess it's anglicized.
And what was Wassenaar? Is that a town or something?
No, it was always done in Kugir. Kugir is the factory. I don't know. Romanian language is a mystery to me. I don't think I know a single word.
Doesn't translate to Russian.
Even simple as hello and goodbye. But like for example, PSL, right? PSL stands for Pushka, Semi-Automat, Luneska, right? Pushka is in Russian. Pushka means a cannon or something that fires, right?
I thought it meant something else.
Right. Semi-automatic is obviously semi-automatic, and Lunesta is a reference to the moon, right? The lunar. Lunesta is something that telescope to look at the moon. So PSL was semi-automatic rifle scoped. So maybe it's the same. We can type it in and in the Google Translate, see what it tells you.
That's what our listeners can do. They can go and do that. I think Wasser is good enough for our conversation. So.
Right. Although, there was a time when they took those guns, and back in the 90s, and all of you guys probably remember when we had the influx of those Romac 1s and Romac 2s and Romac 3s. And so basically it's commercialized AKM version in two different calibers, although the weirdest out of three, obviously the Romac 3 was the PSL gun, which is the RPK-based, sniper rifle, or their version of it, sniper rifle with the chambered and 7.62 by 54R. But the Romac 2 was the weirdest out of the pack. And the reason for that, it was AKM with all the intents and purposes, chambered and 545. And if they would have just left it alone as far as like the charging handle is concerned and the front side post block, it would have been a really good gun. But they did something. Yeah, there you go.
So Paul's got one.
So Paul's got one. And the Romac 2 had this weird, almost looks like cast it in the beach sand somewhere in the beaches of Black Sea, a front side post. It was all misshapen and stuff. And they had an interesting charging handle because it was, first of all, sharpened to the point, and it was bent 45 degrees up. Do you guys remember those? No?
I muted Paul because he was making so much noise there, Paul. You can unmute yourself.
Oh, okay.
Chair scrape. The chair scrape AK variant.
Repeat any of this or not?
No, I just muted Paul because he was making a lot of noise there. So.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, and then the Wasser reappeared I guess Century was bringing them in mass the time, and those Wassers were, I mean, at the same time there were some Mahdi's coming in from Egypt, and if you would join any kind of board, and then I basically stopped participating in any kind of forums because I caught myself surrounded by outright gun whiners. Those the winos that constantly something is wrong with the gun. It's not them. They can't hit anything. It's not them. It's the gun. It's this is crooked. This is crooked. And then you got all these purists and stuff who would say, "Oh, my rivet is not rounded up to a certain radius, so it's got to be a piece of shit gun." And key thing to realize here is, of course, in the 90s, as the Romania got away from the from Com Block.
Hold on. Who's doing that?
I did that. Somebody's trying to get a hold of me.
Okay.
What's going on now? I'm in.
No, I just shared my screen, so you're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. So anyway, and got to realize that they obviously they kept the best guns for themselves for military while they were transitioning into NATO and all that stuff. But the factories now they found themselves that Cougar factory was not needed because they were going to switch to NATO standard firearms, right, small arms, and so they kind of oriented themselves towards commercial market.
Retooled them.
Right. Well, I don't know, but retooling is just they probably did not want to invest a lot of money into retooling. And then they start producing the guns again in the good numbers because there was a demand for them in the U.S. On the same old worn-out equipment. So you would see maybe a little cant in the front side of gas block. You'd see the rivets of a wrong diameter heads and things like that. But in all, it was a functioning gun.
So in the research that I've done, and you're talking about the different variations, things not being tip top, is their magazine. Well, instead of the dimples, they put in spacers for that, and those spacers weren't always the same. They weren't
of the same thickness.
Yeah.
But guess who else did that?
Who else did that?
Freaking Ishmash did that.
Ishmash did
In
that
the
too.
early Segas that they brought in,
Yeah,
there was no dimples.
Go, Jim.
that's all import. That was import restrictions because of the 10-rounder. So you couldn't really put the dimples. So a lot of those, when those guns come in, that's why it's called the Wasser 10, because it comes in with a single stack 10-round magazine, and they cut them out. We used to actually do that a long time ago. We used to do the conversions for a bunch of different companies. But they'd come in, we'd have a jig, we'd mill them out, and then customers that ended up with Wasser 10s would do that. But that is one of the big complaints that people had on the early Wasser 10s. I haven't seen a Wasser 10 come in without dimples in recent memory at all.
Yeah,
Right,
they're
and
doing dimples
there's
now.
one right there. Paul is showing it. But see, the thing is, a positive thing about it is that they listened, right? So the Russians listened with their Segas, and then when they got the negative feedback that everybody wanted the dimples, so they started sending them with the dimples, and the same with the Wasser 10 in the later, I guess, import batches. They would have dimples on them already.
Yeah.
But
I was trying to unmute myself.
Well, this one actually is not that old of a gun. I've only had this for about 5 years.
That's an underfolder gun, though. So
Yeah,
it
this
took 'em
is
later.
the
Yeah, it took them later on those because there was less of them sold.
and also you could see an early traits, manufacturing traits in that gun. Like for example, the semi-tubular stock, right? It's not
Yes.
like So it's
this
the
is
old pattern design, old pattern gun.
This is
That's
a newer one right here.
Sitting on the shelf for 20 years.
The one that I have here is a newer one, and what I was told is, there's ones that's made for the military and there's ones made for commercial use that come out of the Kujier. This one, I think this one was this was a military one, and it doesn't have the dimples, and it has the spacers in it. I was showing it there earlier.
Look at that. Yep.
So
that's a Wasser 10 marked gun?
Yeah, this is I'm trying to see. Yeah, Romania, Kujier, Wasser 10, and then this one's out of whatever the military portion of that factory is.
Hey, we have a special guest almost joining us. Here, a little more.
Another one.
Almost.
Hey!
What's up, Zach?
Oh, how much, man?
Nova Module. That's what I was trying to come up with. So,
hey, look at the mag well, the edge of the mag well of that other gun, and see if it's got fresh metal or if it's parked.
Let's see. In the spacers?
The edge of the steel. Well, the spacers will be cut too, but in the mag well itself, just right on the bottom where the mag inserts in.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at the edge of the metal.
Okay.
Like here.
If it's shiny enough, if it's
right here
or finished. Yeah.
On the inside, see if it's parked or if it's silver.
It's parked.
I came in as an original double stack gun then.
The spacer is not, though. The top of the spacer.
Maybe Gunsmith actually went to the trouble to refinish it, maybe.
No, that's one of the guns they're starting to push on. So the mag well itself is cut to proper size, but those little blocks are cut to the Wasser 10 width. So all they have to go in there now is just open up those two little bars. So that's why they're doing that, because that's a quick, easy thing rather than having to punch out and cut out that whole mag well. I thought I might have had a single stack receiver here somewhere. We ended up with a bunch of single stack receivers 8 or 10 years ago and just haven't really wanted to mess with it.
What about the gun behind your head there on the wall?
That is
with the dongle on it.
That's a Romanian G original barrel kit. I want to say I tried to see what it was earlier. That's a 78. So it's a real nice gun, real pretty before the machines started getting worn out and chip tooling and all the other stuff. So that's a real nice gun. That's a kit built that we did probably 10 years ago, and came out of a collection, and we're doing a sale on that. Just similar to this. This is a G kit too. For some reason, they cleaned the orange out of it. For the life of me, I don't know why they did that. But this is a 1980s gun. And you can see the G's as time progresses. They just get rougher and rougher. This is an 82. And you can tell by the G's, too. The G's look almost machine cut early.
Oh, what are the G's?
And as time progressed, those G's just started getting sloppier and sloppier. Some of them I've seen look like 6s.
What are the G's, Joe?
The G's were the Romanian guard guns. They were originally intended as semi-auto guns for, I guess, kind of their National Guard. Mm-hmm. And they ran those up until 87, 88, whenever they started transitioning to the 545 guns. But they are the kit to get. If you want to build an AK, they are the kit to get because they are military parts, but they never had machine gun parts in them, so they were never beat to hell. They were never trained with a lot. Barrels are real good condition, and when they started getting imported, they came in with full barrels. So they're very well taken care of guns in most cases because the guard guys, the people that were in the guard, took really, really good care of them. And they didn't get shot much at all. So if you can get one of the original Romy Gs, those are those used to be $69, $99 coming in. Now an original Romanian G kit, I would wager to say, is probably hovering around $700 now.
Yeah. So what Joe's talking about are the markings.
Are you just disappointed?
Yeah. American money used to be worth so much in the former Soviet Union.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that, too, is remember the original barrel guns, because we can't import the barrel guns. You can still get Romanian G kits every once in a while, but they're cut or depopulated barrels. The original barrel kits like this one and this one. This is actually my personal kit that we're in the process of building a batch of Romy Gs. Those original barrel guns are worth much, much more now to collector value. Because I mean they're 100% original, other than U.S. compliance parts.
Well, look at the speaking of Wassers, if I may, when I first got into the Wasser 10, it was the discount gun. It was the cheap gun. It was the entry level gun.
It was the red stepchild gun.
Yeah, it was like screaming fire sales, $299, $349, stuff like that. You look at them now. What are they? $959.
Yep.
$899.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I know that we're not pimping Century, but to their credit, they sent Steve Kahaya over to the former Soviet Union with a checkbook, and he went around there and he found crazy stuff. Joe, you remember the old Century catalogs from like 15 years ago with the PKs and the semi-auto? What's the dish? The semi-auto dish?
Dishkas, yeah.
The Dishkas, the semi-auto Dishkas, and that was Steve. He would go over there and he would hunt Romania, former Yugoslavia, and Czech Republic, and he knew all the generals. He was like homeboys, and the generals would be like, "Hey, come over here. Let's look in this Connex box and see what we've got." And he had American dollars, and we didn't. American consumers were so freaking spoiled. We had no idea the deals that we were getting.
Yeah.
Remember when they were bringing in set-me's and you get it for $300?
Yeah.
$349 for a set-me. And I remember walking into a gun shop and seeing that and asking the owner, "What's wrong with this gun?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "There's nothing wrong with it." Why? I said,
it's just ignorance.
"Why is it only $359?"
People didn't
It's
know.
not HK.
People didn't
Yeah,
know.
it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Try and find an original hardwood stock set-me today. And, we're not talking 50 years ago. We're talking 20. So it tickles me that when Century was bringing in Wassers, everyone's like, they're junk, they're garbage, they're pieces of crap. And I can say shit, right, Marty? They're pieces of shit, blah, 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 blah. And so what did Century do? They said, okay, well, we'll make a made in the USA gun. And then they started making them, and bless their hearts, the first ones were, they were what they were.
Questionable. No.
Yeah, so they were special. And then people are like, the American-made guns are pieces of shit. I'd rather have a Wasser. And I'm like, you motherfuckers were the same bitches crying 10 years ago that Wassers were garbage. And now you're like, no, I'd rather have a Wasser than a Visca or it's like
at the time Centurion or something when I was still there. Made a field receiver gun. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And also at the same time, we don't appreciate what we had at one point, where we had Hungarian guns coming in, we had Egyptian Mahdi's coming in, but at the same time, if you remember, Paul, there were all kinds of kits rolling in, right?
FALs.
Bulgarian, Russian, all kinds of kits, and
RPDs,
all this.
RPKs.
Now that AKs kind of permeated or proliferated, I guess, the U.S. market, and everybody now, when they say AR, they also mean AK and so on and so on. Back then, it was like this purist kind of collector's circuit that wanted to get authentic guns. So it needed like the James Fuller type gun, Mark Krabs gunsmiths when they were building them out of kits and stuff. And then they were thumping their noses, everybody, at this piece of shit Wasser or piece of shit Marty and stuff. And now all of a sudden, like you said, they bring in $1,000 if you can find, you can find them. But yeah, at the time it was like, nah, I'd much rather have Mark Krabs.
I know somebody who picked up an Egyptian Mahdi from a dude for $300 because he needed money. And 30 years ago.
Oh, those were the original Mahdi's.
Yeah. Like 93 time frame.
Yeah.
92, 93. Yeah.
Just fired it on a pistol with it.
He said he had to make them.
People who say Mahdi is a piece of shit are idiots.
No, I mean,
We should do
they
episode on the
literally
Mahdi.
built under supervision from the sheet metal all the way until it comes out as a gun by the Soviets. When the Soviet Union fell apart, that's when they kind of got left to their device, and that's when they started produce somewhat like substandard Mahdi's. But early Mahdi's, like you said, in the 90s, were, I wish I had 10 right now, 20 maybe. I mean, I worked at the plant in Montgomery, Alabama. We're building truck maintenance equipment, and our PR person is a photographer, would put brochures together and stuff. Forgot his name, but he scored one in one of the pawn shops for like $400.
Mm.
And at the time, I was like, really? You could probably buy a kit and this and this. And then 2 years later, when I was leaving the company, going across the street, so to speak, I was like, sell me this. He goes, go fuck yourself. So I tried to sweeten the deal and throw like the AK-56S or whatever it was, that Chinese thing, and cash, and goes, no. It's like, please. He goes,
10
nope.
years from now, people are going to be saying the same thing about the prices of AKs now. It's like, I should have bought it then, even though we think they're just like ridiculous and, overpriced. I mean, look at the kits. Joe was saying, I mean, some of the kits are, some of the lower kits, I mean, I don't think I've seen any cheaper than, $600 just for, one of the cheaper build kits.
You want to get crazy, go on Gunbroker and check out those kits.
Yeah.
The people
Smash
selling
kits
like,
are like $1,500 for
Any of the original SBR style kits, any of the cranks or Aimer 74, 76s.
Yeah.
$2,000, no problem. Just for a kit.
Yeah.
And you're lucky if you get a barrel.
People are paying it too, because they know these are the good old days. Isn't that what James used to say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
are in the good old days.
Young people who are listening, you've got to understand you're living in the good old days. This PSL, Joe, you remember this? So
yeah.
Was it like 5 years ago when they brought them in, and they were $17.99 with a scope?
I thought you were about to say like $11.99. I was thinking about 8 years ago.
Yeah, well, the Century PSLs when they brought them in with scopes, and it was like $17.99, and American crybabies were like, oh, that's way too much, blah blah blah. Okay, today they're $2,499 with no scope.
Yeah, $2,500 no scope.
Yeah,
no optic.
Yeah, 5 years later,
and still $120 each.
Yeah, well, the scopes are what are hard to find, because these are the original. What are they? The P4, P1. What's the model on this?
Marco knows.
There's so many different variants for those things.
Yeah, but this one's got the actual functioning red crosshair.
Is that the original scope that came on it, or it's a Russian scope?
Way.
This is a Russian scope.
Yeah, it's see those little caps over the turrets?
Yeah.
That would be the newer commercial version of it.
Yeah.
And also, they already modified it with the red LED and that extended little cap on the battery compartment to accommodate the AA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be probably, if I had to guess, it's probably a Belomo, which is the Belarusian scope, which is now used by military anyway.
Well,
So
is it the P4? P04?
I think it's a PSL 1P1 or something like that, or P2 or something. It's the commercial thing, when they start when the military moved on, so to speak, and they were faced with the either closure or doing something for commercial market.
Yeah.
And they start making those, and again, people complain and I don't know who is doing this shit. Oh, when you carry a gun and your turrets are rubbing against your gear or your shoulder, then you get your freaking, you lose your zero. Well, if that's the case, if they do move, you get to where you go and set them back to zero on your little scales there, and you back in business. But then they said, well, put the caps over them to protect them from,
From Americans, to protect them from Americans.
Well, the reticle, the ranging reticle is actually not bad.
Not bad,
I
man.
like the
They've been
reticles.
using those things.
Once I got it zeroed at the range, I was able to just hold over at 1, 2, 3, 400 meters without any issue.
Yeah, that's what I do actually. So I go to those little chevrons, upside down chevrons, and then the gradation on it is 100 meter increments. But you can also do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your elevation turret.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting used to it. It's a PSO1, yeah. So it's just a matter of getting used to that's the reticle in mind right there that you're pointing at, Marty. It's just a matter of getting used to it.
Yeah, but if you know how to use it properly and you know what the value of each hash mark is, whether it's horizontal or vertical ones, so although you already got the a choke type of rangefinder, right? But you can judge, look at the let's say a car, right, a sedan, and you know how big the sedan is. What is it, 10 to 12 feet or something? And so you can judge that distance using your little hash marks on from the center chevron to number 10, and then you can calculate a similar calculation as you would do in the regular military binoculars, and then you just would find out how far you are from the target.
Nice.
So this is a very useful reticle. And then when it came out, you got to realize it was 1963 when they came up with this thing.
Well, that could be a whole other good episode that we do, is the PSL. So let's get back to the Romanian AK. Let's talk about how to identify one. How to identify a Romanian AK. How to know you've got one. Joe showed one way to do it there, a different version of it marked with the G, and that's the guard. Their guard had those versions of them.
I don't know if you can see that.
Hold on, I don't have my camera on you. Stand by. All right, and what are you showing us, Joe?
All right, so this is kind of one of the newer, it's not really the Arsenal mark, but it's what the newer ones are coming in, the ROAs.
Mm-hmm.
But the old Arsenal mark, so the G isn't really an Arsenal mark. It is, but it's not from the Arsenal. It's not the Arsenal. It was put on to designate that it was a guard gun.
Yeah. And the G that he's talking about for our non-viewing audience, he is on the sight tower.
Yep, and the rear trunnion.
The rear trunnion, yeah.
So the triangle there.
The front trunnion, you mean?
Yeah.
Front
trunnion here. Sight tower with the G.
Mm-hmm.
But this would be the Arsenal mark for identification on some of the older Romy kits.
Yeah,
so to describe it, it's a triangle pointed up with an arrow, but not refined arrows either, just a straight up arrow with the, I guess, without the fledging.
Does that one have an
You see
arrow?
a lot without the arrow, just the triangle.
Oh,
And I'm not sure what the variations are on that, but I've seen it both ways.
So the triangle with the arrow, there's the triangle with no arrow, and then you've got a triangle that's got kind of a rounded bottom with an 11 in it. Is another identifier.
That's
the 11.
11. Circle 11 is
No, it's not circle
different.
11.
Okay.
So that's circle 11. That's not what I'm talking about. There's here. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to
triangle with an 11.
Yeah, I never heard anything like this.
It's a triangle. It's got see the rounded bottom, and it's got an 11 in it. So, and and you guys can go to Factory 47's website under their blog, and they've got like a nice little write-up on the markings on this. And I'm just going to read what he's got right here. So the markings on the rifle are the most effective way to properly identify its origin, most specifically on the front trunnion, which is what Joe is showing us there. All Romanian manufactured AKs will feature a triangle stamped in the trunnion. This triangle will either be blank in the center, which Joe showed us there, have a small arrow pointing up, which is what this one is showing us here in the picture that I've got for our viewing audience. And the triangle indicates that the trunnion was manufactured in the Couture factory and was approved for mil-spec production after inspection. The arrow in the middle of the triangle was part of the original Couture markings, but was dropped to help identify parts manufactured for the 545 chambering. There are rare cases where the triangle is missing on trunnions manufactured after the 1980s, but these are very uncommon and were built for civilian circulation. Even more rare are variations to the triangle, such as the curved bottom one with the number 11 stamped inside. These would have been manufactured by the Carfill arsenal and were meant only for military use. So,
Dude, frankly, as long as I've been doing this, I've never seen that arsenal mark. That is super rare.
Yeah. Super duper rare. So if you guys run across one of those, you know you got something there.
Oh, there's the triangle with arrow in it.
Let me go switch here. Okay. So that's on the front trunnion.
There you go, that might be a little better. But don't let it confuse you with the triangle with a full arrow.
With the fletchings?
Like Marco was saying, if it has fletching, that would be the Russian factory.
Yeah. So I've got, I don't know if we can see these here on my cup or not. There's the one Marco's talking about.
Yeah. Keep rotating. Rotate. Yep, right there.
Yep, that's it.
And there's
Except
the Romanian.
the arrow is a little bit more rudimentary. Kind of rudimentary.
Yeah.
I mean, as if it was electrical pencil or something. Not as defined.
Yeah. But like I said, you guys want a good picture of that. If you're not watching this video, go to Factory 47's website under their blog, under the Romanian, and he's got some nice pictures there for those markings. Also, another thing that the Romanians did, Marco, I think you were getting into it, were the dongs. You were talking about the dongs.
Oh yeah, that's almost like the designated feature on Romanian guns only. Which the idea of a front vertical grip, obviously now just about everybody who's got the AR or modern AK got one of those things on the gun. Well, majority of people. And so at that time, the Soviets obviously did not want to do it because they would think that, it would interfere with, laying the gun, let's say, somewhere on something to provide stability. And they also didn't want to use, they didn't want to use it as a monopod. So the Romanians thought otherwise, and then they came up with this design, and then they ran into a problem with the underfolder. And because it would not clear that curved design, so they reversed the design of that. I don't know if Joey has one of those.
I don't have a
Well,
reverse dong here.
Literally looked terrible, quite honestly, if I had to say so.
It looked excited.
But nevertheless, it's one of the features that is you could identify a military grade Romanian AKM variant.
Nice.
So this portion here that swung forward. So when they originally put it on, they had to swing it forward because of the magazine, putting the magazine in, and then with the underfolder, oops, now it's in the way of the underfolder. So they basically took this, left it here, and then just did this. Like, it's terrible looking. But
Round
it was an
called the
afterthought.
reverse. This is the dong, and then the other one is the reverse dong.
And the other one is a donkey dong.
And that's what they call it, a donkey donk. They call it that.
I don't know if they do. I just came up with it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's what they call it.
Donkey dong.
The donkey dong, yeah.
Introducing our new belly band holster. Whether you're hitting the gym or running a quick errand, our belly band is one of the most comfortable and safest ways to carry your firearm. The center section allows you to carry most common pistols. Left or right-handed, this has you covered. A hard laminate trigger shield protects the firearm's trigger from unwanted intrusion, giving you ease of mind while carrying every day. 2 elastic sleeves give you the flexibility to carry other everyday items, such as spare mags, flashlight, knife, or pepper spray. 2 zippered pockets run on both sides, offering the option to carry smaller items such as money, cards, or keys. Flush fit on your lower back or waist, easily keeping your setup discreet no matter how you choose to carry. Utilizing 3D spacer mesh, these channels allow for exceptional and efficient airflow, giving you maximum comfort and keeping you cool. Carry whenever you want, how you want, with our new belly band holster. Available now.
Go to missionfirsttactical.com. Use the code LEADHEAD for an exclusive listener-only 20% discount. But back to you were talking about the G. He's got a write-up on the G too. Said another common marking on the Romanian AKMs is the G marking stamped on the rear sight base. This signifies that the rifle was produced for the Romanian National Guard, like you pointed out. They can often identify if your AKM was an early or late production based on the quality of this stamp. Early rifles will have a very cleanly stamped colored G, which I think you showed one of those, while later rifles tend to have a much messier G with hastily completed color field. And for a video audience, Joe gave 2 great examples of those.
They're actually roto engraved. Like somebody with a really steady hand engraves those with a rotary tool.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see the road.
You think those G's?
Yeah.
Look at that.
100%. Let's see. Even the really nice ones, the ones that look perfect, if you get that paint out of there, you can actually see the rotary of it, where a rotary cutter did it. And you can, I don't know, can you see that, Marty?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, can you see the rotary cuttings in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see where they've
They started, they finished with the little dimple in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are beautiful, like a beautiful, perfect G, and some of them are just terrible. And then they just kind of smeared
some lipstick in there.
Paint.
Oh, yeah. That
Notice you see the downturn around 1980, 81. And if I remember correctly, I think there was a civil conflict or something about that time. And then the quality just went to hell.
What are you pulling off the wall? What's that?
This is a 78. And you can see the G.
It's nice, uniformed.
That's still hand done.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
They do. It was early in the day, and they hadn't started drinking yet.
Well, you can see, it's like the tools were sharper. See how the leg of the G just kind of goes whoop. but I've never seen two that are exactly identical.
I mean, they got to have some kind of stencil or something to do that. I mean, they're not just doing it.
They may have had one of the pantograph style machines at first, and then it broke, and then they just said the hell with it and just started doing it with a roto pencil or something. But the Romy G kits before 80 are much nicer. 80, 81, 82, still nice kits. 82 to 84, they start getting rough, like the machining and the pin quality and things like that. So there's a definite drop in.
Yeah. So let's do that.
I'll be right there, gentlemen. I'll just step away.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Right,
let's jump to the kits now and talk a little bit about the kits and because people are the kits are out there again. There's kits that are available. They're still very sought after.
They're coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out of people's closets.
Yeah, so hopefully the price is going to start coming down if the market gets flooded with them. But
not at all. That's why they're coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
So the thing with the kits, it started with the barrel band. So pre-barrel band kits are always going to just go insane and crazy. But the prices of them were so cheap. So there's been this bell curve of like the kits that we've got in. Whenever they were super cheap, everybody was building them because you could build an AK kit for out the door like $300, $400, $500. If you did it yourself, you could even cheaper than that. Well, kit builds are very labor intensive, so they cost a lot of money to build them. Well, it pushes a kit. As the kits were getting $300, $400, $500, then you put a kit build on it. Now you have a kit build AK that's $1,200, $1,400, which is higher than anything else commercially. Well, now the value of those guns have got up to $2,000 and $2,400. So now people are pulling their kits that they got in that kind of weird bell curve, where the kits were still a good price, but to build them wasn't financially good sense. Well, now they're worth more built, so we're starting to see more of those old kits coming in. Yeah. So I think we're going to start seeing some real nice kits, but they are going to be ridiculously priced.
And that's just any kit, not just
any
Romanians.
Kit. Any kit.
Yeah. I'm seeing some that have they're pre-built. They're already pre-built with the upper receiver barrel, everything. All you got to do is put the furniture on them. I've been seeing several of those out there for sale. I think Atlantic Arms, or whatever they're called, Atlantic Firearms, has some for sale. I mean, it's still like buying a $800, $900 rifle. So you still got to throw the furniture on there. I think I saw that they had an AK. They had a short-barreled kit. I think it was a J-Mac Customs kind of deal, short-barreled. It's $529.
For a populated receiver?
No. Well, no. The barrel, and I think it had the gas on it, the gas tube on it and everything, but it didn't have the receiver or anything like that. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It had all the other parts. It had the gas or the piston and.
Well, the big price entry on the kits is the riveting. Is it riveted parts, or is it not?
Yeah. And
that's the distinction of assembly versus building. Even as much as you could say you're assembling an AK with the riveting, there's a lot that goes into it.
Oh, there is. And we did an episode on that with Brian Keeney and Billy Chu. We had Billy Chu on, and we went into the intricacies of building your own, and some of those you got to heat treat and and do all that, and they were going through tips and tricks of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So go back to that episode. It was I think it was season 3. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was Brian Keeney, Billy Chu. It was a really good episode.
That's how I got into the industry was build parties for AKs.
Yeah.
And we build them on flats. The flats like a sheet of paper but metal. and we'd fold them and bend them and
Well, that's the best thing to
weld
do if you're
rails
gonna
in.
get into this building your own. Then taking a class is the best thing that you can do. So if you can find somebody who's got a build class, it's
They really
Actually-
don't do them anymore.
Actually, there's one coming up. I want to say in early September. It'll be put on by Pioneer Arms in Daytona, Florida.
Interesting.
And they're gonna have it's filling up real quick, but it's an armor's class, and you're gonna walk away with a rifle that
Are you riveting the trunnions into the receivers and everything?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because the ATF started sending all of us that were doing build parties, like Jim Fuller and some of the independent guys. They were getting letters talking about how they were facilitating manufacture of non-licensed individuals. So most of the parties kind of pay.
I'm not sure how it's going to be done by Pioneer. I'm just their, I'm kind of their, distributor, so to speak. But I'm sure they're going to do it with compliance of the law.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever that law says,
sure
whether those guys can do it or cannot do it, or they might be hired. I'm not sure. I don't know how it's going to be, but there's an armor's class coming up in September.
Oh, well, nice.
So somebody could contact the Pioneer Arms and find out more about it.
That's great to hear, because I really miss the build party culture of it and the building of it.
Yeah.
Everything from flat. I still have my flat bending jig. It's in the back near the press. I mean, we haven't used it. I haven't used it in 15 years. But it's there.
It's interesting project, especially if you're not under any kind of time constraint or something. If you just do it methodically, just step by step, it's actually kind of rewarding. And at the end,
and you walk away with your own AK. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Here, I think I actually might have some flats.
So that episode, Leadheads, I was talking about is 442, and it was Brian, Billy Cho, and Jim Fuller tried to join us, but he had technical difficulties, and our buddy Drew was on that episode too. So very good, informative episode on if you're wanting to get into building your own AKs, and some websites and things we give on there, links to where you can go find some cool stuff. So what is Joe grabbing?
Flits, I think.
Okay. So the Romanian AK, would you say, as far as rankings go in the AK world, where would they rank as far as quality-wise goes?
Paul? Go ahead and answer. Then I'll answer mine.
Okay.
Well, we touched on that earlier. Marco touched on it obviously very well. During the initial import time, when they were scrambling to assemble stuff, and were we getting the best stuff, or were we getting the factory seconds? Where they were keeping all the really good stuff for the Army, and they're like, hey, we got Connex boxes full of factory seconds, sell them to the Americans. And then, of course, we had the situation with the magazines where and that was what I remember as the big complaint was the magazine wells.
Yeah.
Joe, do you remember that as the big complaint, the washer complaint? People like, the magazine well's fucked up, and you got to polish it. And
it's who did the conversion on them. I mean, it just like any individual is better at something than others. So some of the cuts were horrible, and some of them, once they started going into the CNC manufacturing of them, were pretty decent.
Yeah.
But again, that kind of goes back to the dimples versus no dimples. It was a compliance thing for importation.
Yeah.
Well, I find that still the magazine, the well's still an issue with some of the magazines, because even
does it have
these
dimples
guns
or not
that I've got,
dimples or no dimples?
Both. The ones with dimples I've had more problems with than the ones with no dimples.
Those will usually be factory double stack mag wells.
And it's typically more the U.S. Palm mags that have the issue in the fit.
Well, then you're also talking.
That's the polymer mags have to be a little thicker to keep the strength, so they have a tendency of being a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I've had imported AKs that would not run with polymer mags, like just wouldn't. But to be fair to the manufacturers, they weren't thinking U.S. Palm mags or P mags or whatever when they were making that. If you can get one that'll run with P mags or US Palms, fucking great.
Yeah.
But if it won't, you can't really bitch at the manufacturer of the gun. That's like buying an aftermarket pistol mag, sticking it in your gun, and it doesn't work. And you're like, this gun's a piece of shit. And you're like, well, that's not the factory mag. It's, it's a pro mag, and
like
you shouldn't have done that.
But
Sig mag and a Glock.
Remember me early on talking about all those whiners on the internet and stuff and interwebs? They like, oh, this doesn't work. I mean, for crying out loud, if you have a set of magazines like those Polish military magazines were a little better, and you can't freaking take a file, or even at one point maybe take a sandpaper really and round those machine, edges on your magazine well. So your magazines would fit. I mean, I'm just saying, freaking you useless human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
uncreated piece of human flesh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then complain about it, and then show your what's the word I'm looking for your idiocracy for the world to see. Say, my magazines don't fit on the freaking thing, and it's like all right, well, you're just telling me that you don't know what file is.
Yeah.
Right, Joe?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult anyone, but
you don't know what file is. I'm going to use that. That's a quote. Marco, I'm stealing that. You don't know what file is.
Well,
I got to practice the accent.
Brian Keeney has a really good...
Copyright. Just do it.
Go, Paul.
Brian Keeney's got a really good. I don't know if he did a YouTube video. I think he did, but I've gotten the speech in person about everywhere on the AK that can use polishing. He's like, and he's like, okay, you got a stock off the shelf Com Block AK. These are all the places that could use some polishing.
No way! I just got one gun for rework that came in as a Ishmash. Sega 762, the
compliant
Monte Carlo stock and all that, right? And then if you really looked into it, it's a solid gun, produced in the same, especially the innards of it, like hammer and disconnector and the trigger and everything. And I looked inside. I opened the top cover and looked inside, and somebody, like you said, Paul, somebody went with the polishing disc, possibly even some kind of compound. I could see my reflection on the hammer and then the freaking disconnector and the trigger parts. It was just polished to to a chrome-like finish. I was like, why? Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's the gun.
Yeah.
And they polished everything on the inside. I was like,
well, this one's in process of getting deneutered. So the other axis pinholes were welded up and then blended in. It's going to get reblasted, reparked, and finished. So this will be a complete factory Russian AK.
That's my project today on my bench. So
I really like the Sega front end. We did a lot of them, and I like a lot of them with this front end.
But the people who want it, convert it, they want it, especially nowadays that they're not going to bring those guns ever again.
Yeah.
And people who want to convert them right now, they want them to look like in that book, like, one of those alpha operators carrying it on their chest, And so that's why they wanted, probably get away from this solid handguard. It's actually not bad.
No, I like it a lot. I actually really, really like this configuration. It keeps your fingers away from here if you do a little bit further forward. It's sleeker. It's smoother. This usually goes away, and I put an Ultimac on it anyway. But I like the double layer because there's a little bit of air gap in there. It doesn't get scorching hot. This one, I think might actually be threaded under the hood.
That
so
I don't know.
gonna-
That's what I'm going to find out. See, mine is actually got those 2 welds on each side instead of the pins.
That one
So I had
probably
to
won't
trim
be.
them out. Yeah,
Yeah, that one probably won't be.
And I seriously doubt that it will be threaded, because just based on the 100 series and the barrels on those are not threaded. It's the front side block is.
True. Yeah. But I'm thinking this one might actually be threaded. We actually pulled the pins out. Sometimes we'll just we'll set it up in the lathe and turn it off, and then pull the sleeve off and see if it's threaded. But I'm probably going to put a 74 style block on this anyway, so we wanted to pull this one.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I got to drill those tag welding.
Let's do this. Let's. Is there anything else that you think the listeners need to know about the Romanian?
The original question from Marty was reliability.
Yeah. And then we got into Saigas.
Yeah, so let's, if you want to talk about our dear departed brother, James, Tactical Response's rental guns for the fighting rifle classes were Wasser 10s that James bought when they were $299, and they had hundreds of thousands of rounds fired through them. Now I think the barrels were all smooth. And James used to laugh. People would come and the rental guns, and they're like, "Are they accurate?" And he's like, "You don't really know what it is we do here, I don't think." But they ran those guns until the rifling was gone. So like hundreds of thousands of rounds. So the average shooter will never come even 5% to what those guns. But
let's also be realistic. They were changing parts out on those too. I mean, he didn't just get one and he put 100,000 rounds through one without doing some maintenance.
I wouldn't doubt that it did it just fine.
You don't think?
The thing
maybe a firing pin, maybe a hammer spring, but I doubt there was any major components on the majority of them needing at 100,000 rounds. 100,000 rounds isn't that much for an AK.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but it's not. It's not like an AR. An AR, you'd be lucky to get 30,000 rounds through one.
Yeah, I think the classic what's ceiling for the AK per Soviet manuals was 40,000. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they immediately replace the barrel. They just shoot them to see how they do, and they probably extended another 10 or 20 or something.
Yeah.
But it's all had to do with the chrome cracking, not necessarily wearing out, but cracking.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Hey, Leadheads, Dwight Settle with Seal One. Just here to talk to you and tell you a little bit about our product. Seal One CLP Plus is a bio-based, non-toxic product. It comes in a paste, liquid, aerosol, and pre-saturated bore-specific patches called sealskins. They all do the same thing, just different methods of application. The best way to use our product is to start with a clean firearm. There's 2 reasons why I say that. First, you start with the Seal One CLP Plus by field stripping your firearm and covering the entire firearm inside and out, bore, barrel, everything with the Seal One CLP Plus. You'll see how easy it spreads around. You'll want to wait about 15 to 20 minutes. Then you come back and you want to wipe it all off. So you see how easy it is to put on and remove. And the second reason we say to use a clean firearm is you'll find that it's not clean. We're going to pull out more carbon that's been left behind with whatever product you've been using before. Okay, it takes about 3 cleanings. So I like to say a clean shoot, clean shoot, clean shoot. Just normal usage before the Seal One CLP Plus has removed whatever product that you were using before and has seasoned the firearm. It's kind of like breaking in a cast iron skillet. And after that first cleaning, you will notice a difference. And with each successive cleaning, you will find that it gets easier and easier to clean. Seal One CLP Plus is a dry lubricant and is designed to work as such. You will find that malfunctions are virtually eliminated when used properly, because the majority of all malfunctions are caused to carbon buildup. And with the Seal One CLP Plus, the carbon does not build up. Seal One CLP Plus is safe on all metals, plastics, composites, polymers, rubber, wood, and leather. Seal 1 CLP Plus is a one-and-done formulation. No other products are required or needed to clean and lubricate and protect your firearm. That's why we say Seal 1 and done. Seal 1 is a proud sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Use the code LEADHEAD for a 25% off discount.
But as far as okay, so to address the quality and reliability of Romanian guns, and it all comes from how individual feels about the country of Romania. Whether he thinks it's some kind of freaking big old village where everybody is ringing the cow's tails and stuff, or it's a wonderful country with a great tradition of manufacturing things, for example, right? So we don't know any Romanian-made cars or watches or whatever, but we do know that they make pretty good guns, okay? And so you can look at it that way, as saying, do I like Romania? And if I do, then if poop hits the fan, I'll grab the Wasser. And by the way, I'm one of those guys that I wouldn't hesitate to grab it and go and try to do something important. But at the same time, they start to compare it to, let's say, they take a Wasser off the some pawn shop shelf, and then go and compare it to their Krebs custom gun or James Fuller gun, and they say, "Oh, this is a piece of shit compared to this thing." Yeah, but this is $2,500, $2,500 gun. This is $600 gun that you bought. I mean, so like I said, so you can treat it the way you want to treat it. Like you want to take a gun. I always have this hand scratching test where I put the gun between my legs, kind of straight up and sitting, and then I'll take my two hands and kind of rob it on both sides, and see if I snag on something. Yeah, you'll snag on a Wasser. There's no doubt about the sharp edges there. There's nothing, not deburred. And of course, you take a Krebs gun and you go down smooth.
Yeah. It's like you said, learn how to use a file, and then you can.
Yeah.
No, not.
You don't know how to use file.
You don't need to. You don't need to. You just treat it as a gun, as something that was designed to go into battle with, instead of something to put in your shelf and then tell all your boring relatives, "Look what I got," And so the quality, the reliability in that gun is built from the design, right? So I often when I teach an AK class, we do the class portion of it before we move on to a range, and I write down all the myths about the AKs. And so not accurate. Okay, that's one of them. And refer to what Paul was saying earlier, the gun in 99.9%, maybe 100 times out of 100, the gun's potential exceeds the shooter's potential. Okay? So, and the only difference between guy actually striking the targets and the other guy is peppering it all over the place is number of a knowledge of that person's gun and number of trigger pulls. That's all it is. I mean, I tell you an anecdote. In 2001, a couple days before the towers came down, me, David Fortier, and Mark Krebs went to Russia to meet with Kalashnikov, But before we did that, we flew into Moscow and we stopped by at my friend's base. He was the head of a Russian quick reaction force, like a SWAT on duty. And they're celebrating because some of these guys just came back from Chechnya. The second Chechnya campaign was still going on. And so they're there with the guns, with all this cool stuff, and the David is asking, he goes, how accurate is this? A gun one of the officers there sitting with the AKM, AK-74M, and Fortier is asking, he's like, how accurate is that thing? So I translated, and they kind of looked at each other going like, why is he even asking something like this? But then one guy says, well, I spend my time at the checkpoint shooting the wires of a telephone pole. That's freaking accurate if you ask me. It's like wire, 505 round. And so it all so the same translates to AKM rifles and does to the Wassers or Romanian guns. That's as far as reliability. So the reliability is the next one. The reliability, and Marty, I already mentioned it in one of the podcasts. If you think about a gun is a single piston internal combustion engine, semi-automatic gun, right? If you think about it, so the pressure pushes the piston back, spring returns it instead of the flywheel. It's a spring that returns it, fires it, ignites it again. It's a single piston
combustion engine.
Yeah. So therefore, it is a machine. And machines, what do we know about the machines? That they do break. Eventually. It's just this one breaks less than the others. So this is by far more. You can't say it's like the perfect reliable thing that never breaks. It's just more reliable than the next guy.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
So and the reliability of AK goes to a design that's widespread, componentry inside for all the contaminants. Ability of contaminants to just fall down to the bottom of the receiver, and so on and so on. So. And the Romanians inherited it. And by the way, just to tell you why the Romanians got a lot of the Soviet assistance.
Mm-hmm.
They were a part of the Axis, right, during World War II. Yeah. Everything in gun related in Russia, it all boils down to World War II results, the outcomes.
Yeah.
So, so they were in basically 128,000 of them died. The entire contingent of Romanians died in Stalingrad, whatever it was. And then when the Russians started plowing through the western part of their territory and pushing towards the border, King Michas, which was king of Romania, then declared that that's it. I'm out of the Axis. In fact, I declare war on Germany. And he turned the Romanian army 180 and joined as an ally to Soviet or Red Army. So at the end of the war, the top higher ups received this Order of Victory, which is this big thing like this, you see in those Renaissance era paintings and stuff where all these kings and stand there with big ass freaking orders. So the Order of Victory that was issued like 7 or 8 of them or something like that. Stalin had 2, Zhukov had 2, then all these Russian marshals had 2. And guess who else got one? King Michas.
Romanian king.
Right. So, but then he got deposed, right? by the socialist regime. But in any case,
he got shot, didn't
he? That's why Russia never had a base in Romania. They had it in Hungary, they had it in Germany, right? They had it in Czechoslovakia, but they never had Hungary, but they didn't have one in Romania because they treated them as allies. Anyway, so therefore, once the war ended and they needed to arm the Romanian army, get away from the bolt guns and all this stuff. So if you would look at, let's say, Tokarev pistol, right, the TT-33 pistol, the Romanian version of it is the closest by design and the execution and the final product to the Soviet model. It's almost identical. You can swap the parts in it and stuff. And of course, the Soviets paid attention to establishing the AK manufacturing in Romania and making sure it's good product at the end. Mm. And so that's why inherently the Romanian guns are very, very good guns. And of course, maybe 90s when those Romax started to come in with the tilted freaking front sights and gas box, might have left a bitter taste in the American consumer.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier, and Paul, we weren't getting their best. We were getting their The military was getting the best stuff.
The rejects.
Right, but
Getting the blims.
George deals with the kits and stuff, and he can probably comment on it more if he sees that those military grade kits coming in. They a very, very good basic set of parts that you can assemble a very good gun out of. Am I right, Joe? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the military guns, so all the military guns are well built. What you often see is when the used military guns come in, as far as the kits, they are quite shot because they're retired. They're like, oh, we no longer have use for this. Let's turn them into kits. And then the ones that were imported as kits or imported for the civilian market will be the ones that are blims or the +2, -2 trunnion systems, things that are oversized or undersized. But the quality was still pretty good. But there is a definite difference between the stuff that they built for active military use versus what they intended for commercial or what they repurposed for commercial use. But the quality of all of them is pretty good. But yeah, that's the biggest thing was the canted front sight blocks. And this one, I don't know if you can see this. This one is a new manufactured Draco, which is one of the Dracos, is one of my favorite ones. But you can see where the drum is.
Point to it.
I'm trying to get a good square on so you can kind of see. All right, so you can see the drum, how it's not centered.
Yeah.
In the gas block.
Talking about on the side.
That's because the block is a really bad cant. And so we bought, I think, 15 Dracos with this batch of this one. And I picked it because it had a cool serial number. I don't remember why I got this particular one. But I kept this one for myself, and by the time I had a chance to look at it, all the rest of them are gone, so I had a little bit of a can on it. But you know what? This gun still, I can ring an 8-inch plate at 100 yards with these iron sights. Even though it's crooked, it doesn't affect the gas block because the piston is out of it before it causes any problems. And the sight drum has plenty of travel to take care of it.
Yeah.
It's just an aesthetics thing.
Use the sight, not the drum.
Yeah. Well, this is still one of my favorite guns, and I'm really glad that Century built or imported the AK, the Dracos. It was actually built off of the, and Marco, help me out, I can't remember if it was an Aimer 76. The SBR with the front sight, and then the Romanian wire side folder.
Yeah. So they borrowed the stock from what is it? AMIKP, whatever the East German gun is. Yeah.
That's my favorite SBR kit build outside of some of the cranks because the Romanian. It's a Romanian gun. They're inexpensive. The kits. We used to get these before Dracos were imported. We would build these as kits as SBRs, or we'd put a permanently attached can on them and build them as rifles. But that's some of my favorite kit builds is those Romanian. I want to say it's an AIM or an Aimer 76, an AIM S.
Don't you hate the Draco, Aimer, Marco?
AIMR or something.
AIMR 76 or 74. I think 76.
76 because that's when the Warsaw Pact went to the sub caliber to 505 and although for the Russians they started working on it earlier, the other countries got kind of like put before the fact, like, hey, from now on you gotta make the guns in 505, and so the East Germans, they actually got a license from the Russians to manufacture, but everybody else said, well, let us do our own thing. And so it's Romanians, Poles, and Czechs wind up doing their own 545 guns, based on AK, but their own way.
Very good.
Not an exact copy.
I think you answered my question. So, in your opinion, the Romanian is a very solid AK. Joe's opinion too, I would say. Paul, your opinion?
Absolutely.
Solid AK. Good buy. I mean, if you find one, probably can't go wrong with it. As far as the kits go, the kits are going to be dependent on the person putting them together. So,
and original barrel or virgin barrel build.
Yeah. Anything else kit-wise they need to look for in the Romanian if they're just trying to make sure everything's coherent and solid and it's all one, everything's the way it should be? This belongs with
original
this.
barrel versus a U.S.-made barrel that's populated. Is it a true virgin barrel that's an original barrel? So you might get a chrome line barrel that's never been populated, and that would be still what's considered a virgin build because the barrel wasn't populated. So you'll have complete kits with the original barrel. That's going to be your typically your best quality, easiest build. And then you'll have the pre-populated U.S. barrel builds. The pre-populated, after they come in here, they'll use like a Romanian barrel that was factory made. And then after that, then it's the do-it-yourself where you have to populate it and do everything yourself. It's just kind of where the window is. The kits will come in with parts like this oftentimes. This is a torch cut kit. So you want to make sure that the torching, whenever the torch was done, it didn't hit any of the critical components. This one was a pretty well done torch kit. They didn't hit the trigger guard. They didn't hit the mag release. Everything's pretty clean. But as Marco was talking, and we were talking about the reliability, I was going to try and demonstrate why these things are so reliable. And I found a problem with this kit. So we were actually going to start building this sometime today or early next week. But there's a very, very major problem now that I just discovered.
Is it a headspace?
No.
Oh.
The bolt.
This bolt should slide in.
Yeah.
And if you look, see this wing right here, this flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, whenever, more than likely when it was demilled, somebody probably put it in a vise and ripped the sheet metal off. They crushed the wings, and now this side of the trunnion is caved in. So the bolt actually won't go in. So, I mean, it doesn't kill the kit, but it's going to definitely be a challenge.
So how would you fix that? You try to bend it back?
We're going to try and bend it back. It's not real bad. We'll try and bend it back. Worst case, we'll have to heat it up.
They're going to mess up the
get
heat
it
treat?
moved back and then reheat treat.
Yeah.
Worst case, we'll lose our matching serial number and we'll just have to put another trunnion on it.
But they are forged, so they should be bendable. If it was cast, I would be hesitant to do anything with it.
Zach says hey and bye. He's heading out for the day.
All right. We'll get him on next time.
All righty.
All right.
So that kind of reminds me of where the reliability of these are. These are forged components rather than like the cast components that like the U.S. AKs started with, which is how they got their bad name. So I have a lot more leeway with this because this is a forged system.
Yeah. Let's do this. I think that's good on the parts kits because they can go back to our episode that I told them about earlier, and we get in some good detail with Brian and Billy on that, and Andrew. Anything else you think? I'm going to go to our questions, and then that may bring up some things that we haven't covered yet. So let's go to listener questions now. And Paul, anything else you want to add?
No, let's go to the questions.
All right, let's jump into the questions. We'll start off with FBS Murdoch. It says, I know the Romanians had a Soviet license to the AKM. That said, what did they do differently? I think we kind of covered that. The dimples.
Going to 545.
Say again.
When they went to 545 gun, they didn't get the license from Soviets to do the AK-74s, so they wind up doing their own stuff, which is they probably looked at the AK-74 and they see that a lot of the parts, like especially the internal parts and the receiver itself, was pretty close to what they were producing, and they wind up using most of the parts from AKM and just rechambered the gun in the 74. But for all intents and purposes, it's an AKM chambered in 545, whereas AK-74 had 27 distinct differences compared to AKM.
Okay. Glautru ask, why does the Couture emblem not have an arrow inside the triangle during the 1980s produced MD63s? And I think that was covered when I read the blog from Factory 47. And it had to do something with, where is it at? Here it is. The arrow in the middle of the triangle was part of the original Couture markings, but was dropped to help identify parts manufactured for the 545 chambering, which Marco just talked about. There are rare cases where the triangle is missing on trunnions manufactured after the 80s, but these are very uncommon and were built for civilian circulation. So, for the civilian circulation, I would assume. Jerry Black, Marco, you teased us with a 3D printed can in your last episode. When will those be brought to market, and will Leadheads get to be the first in line to buy them?
They are in.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, so as far as like a standard calibers are concerned, like 5.56 and 7.62 for regular AR and like AR-10 whatever threads, we have plenty of those in stock. They could be ordered. And then what's today? Friday, Wednesday, and I went and tested the AK specific can, which is also now available. And like an idiot, I didn't bring it in. I can go and get it. It will take me about, 20 seconds to go get it. But just to give you an idea, and I'm not bragging or anything about it, but I literally, when I was shooting it in the indoor range, which I had all the lanes around, everybody stopped shooting. And then they came over where I was shooting. They said, damn, what are you shooting there? And this thing with the subsonic rounds is freaking Hollywood quiet.
Nice.
And I'm talking about, you heard that expression, but
it's super quiet.
if it's not,
super
curse
quiet.
my eyes. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. So we have one that is kind of, it's comparable to any 7.62 can, right? So size-wise, it's probably like the, let's say a Dead Air Wolverine 1, the size-wise.
Yeah.
But it weighs 1/3 of it.
Huh.
It's still out of Inconel. And do you want me to go get it? It's in the back of my car.
Yeah, you do that, and then I'll let Paul field this question.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Tongue
for Twistin asks, does an underfolder make it more stable, or should you just stock it?
The underfolder doesn't necessarily make it more stable. And the whole purpose of an underfolder was, going back to the airborne mechanized troops, it doesn't make the gun more tactical. It just makes it more convenient to store and carry. And the reason I'm holding this one is when it comes to underfolders, this is my absolute favorite. The folded stamped machine ones that look like rectangles tend to ride high and bite into into your chin, into your cheekbone, or your jawbone, I guess. They bite into your jawbone.
Your face.
But this one right here, it's not, well, Joe, it's that semi-tubular.
Yeah, it's kind of
semi-tubular.
Kind of round.
Yeah, some of them were tubular.
Yeah, when you shoot this one, it's not biting into your face like the folded stamped sheet metal ones really will bite into your jawbone. This one doesn't. You can shoot this one very comfortably. So when it comes to, because underfolders generally are not, especially AKM folders, are not comfortable to shoot. But the Wasser UF, this is the 10 UF. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, but you may get
my favorite.
You might get a UF with any one of, I think, 5 different variations of underfolder stock.
Hold on a second,
Yeah.
Joe. Hold on a second. Is that your room that somebody's talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear you over them. Sorry. And I muted you, Marco, so you unmute yourself when you're ready to talk.
So anyway, yeah, this one, I've got a couple underfolders, and this one's my favorite.
Okay.
This version is my favorite.
So to answer the question, no, it doesn't add. It's not more stable. So it's
no,
not more
it's
or less.
It's just more convenient to store and carry.
Yeah, it's a stock is probably more comfortable. A full stock is more comfortable, I would say, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, good question there. So Marco's back. Marco, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. I probably shouldn't have muted him. He doesn't
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, so this right here is called a sickle.
AppTech.
AppTech is exclusive distributor for this. They done by Disavowed Company, formerly known as a Thermal Defense. And this is a sickle, and we're going to have a hammer, which is going to be slightly thicker in diameter, but about this short. So it would lend itself into any kind of a compact type of like a Draco type gun or a KSU and stuff. Now, of course, we're going to be doing them in 2 calibers. This particular one that is available for purchase is in 7.62, and it's got the regular AKM thread, left-handed thread. It's 14. Was it 14 by half? Something, whatever.
Yeah.
Left-handed thread. So, and it's a direct thread.
Very nice.
And it shoots like you would not believe. There's no overgassing. It's all flow-through design. It cools down probably within the 5 minutes. You can actually touch it and stuff. And
you said that's made from Inconel?
Inconel, 3D printed.
3D printed. Very cool. And is that the what do you call that one?
Compared to like iPhone.
Yeah.
That's a 5/8 direct thread?
Yep. Direct thread, that regular AKM thread.
Is it a flow-through style design or more of a baffle?
Correct. Flow-through.
I see the orifices up front, so I figured it was a flow-through style.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. And those are available.
Check that out.
Weighs absolutely nothing. And it's shit. I don't have a scale here, but I mean it's just nothing. Yeah.
And those are available now, you said?
Yeah, they're available now for purchase.
And where do they go? What did you say it was called?
You can go to Disavowed. I think it's disavowed.com and get them, or you can contact me, and just if you give, my information, they can contact me directly. I'll organize the whole thing.
And mine's probably in the mail already, I would think.
It will be yours, and the one. Remember asking for Clays.
Yeah.
So I need your SOT though.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Very cool.
Close to near to.
All right, next question.
I do have a hammer model right here, actually.
A hammer.
Although this is on the 300 blackout, so.
I think the hammer's the model name.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's the model hammer sickle.
Hammer sickle.
Hammer.
This is sickle. This is hammer. Performance-wise, they about the same. I mean, it's the same. I think it's 132 or 130 or something like that. Very, very quiet.
Yeah.
But this right here is 300 blackout, but it's also, we're going to thread it in the regular AKM thread, and it's going to be called a hammer. So in the differences, you can see the diameter-wise slightly thicker, and it's shorter, like an inch.
The 300, yeah.
Inch and a half shorter.
Hey, it's all about the girth, right?
Hey, wherever you get volume.
It's not the size, that's how you use the silencer,
All right, next question. This comes from Midwest Savage. Thoughts on the future of the 545 as the supply seems to be drying up and the price seems to be going up, up, up. Today's the good old days. These are the good old days.
All right. I'm just going to make my comment. You guys
Yeah, go ahead.
might have a different opinion, but there's a bunch of companies out of like Bosnia, possibly Hungary, and Turkey that working on the 505 supply. And so we will, and of course there would be some, I would assume some American manufacturers that are actually going to step in and do it. To do away with that particular caliber would be very, very stupid thing to do, because it is, in my opinion, is probably the best fighting carbine caliber anyway. And plus the sheer amount of, or sheer number of AK-74s in hands here in the U.S., it just will demand it will be high, and then somebody will step up to the plate. But there is a work down the grapevine. It's in the works to establish manufacturers in Eastern friendly countries, friendly to us, Eastern European countries, as well as Turkey. So, see what happens, I guess. I'd say if I had to predict, it will be within a year and a half, we'll see first shipments.
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize that the panic sell-off of the AK-74s happened, I guess, about 6 months after the 7N6 ban, and then to the point where after the Russian
sanctions or whatever.
Sanctions, thank you. The sanctions, that set off another batch of them. So I think you saw as low as AK-74s were going to get. I'm starting to see people see the writings on the wall. Palmetto has announced that they're going to be bringing in, that they're going to be loading 545. I've heard words of a lot of the Russian, Belarus, all of those machineries that were meant for the commercial line, they're getting moved somewhere, and they're getting moved somewhere more friendly areas. That's a great round. That's one of the Hornady rounds. I wish they still loaded that stuff. They imported the brass and then loaded it. I have probably 60 or 80 boxes left of that stuff. Great shooting stuff. But I think 545 is coming back. I think it's a great cartridge. I think if you get a good deal on a gun, buy it. Don't worry about the ammo supply. It'll come. 7N6 has dropped 60 or 80 bucks a can in the last year or so because people are realizing that. But if you do get a 74, get some commercial stuff and make sure you have at least 2 cans of the 7N6 on hand. One keep sealed, one in your mags ready to go, because, I mean, it is the most effective round that's available for the 545.
Paul.
I agree 100%. And, like I said, what I do is I often go to like auctions and stuff, and a lot of gun auctions, and it would be somebody either retiring or, maybe passed away or something. And if I find this 505, I just grab it and buy it.
Cool. Paul.
As much as I can.
Now, that the Afghans refer to the 545 as the poison bullet, right? It's devastatingly effective. And the guns are fantastic. If you get one, I've been shooting them since they started coming in. And we all remember the good old days of 15 cent a shot 545. When you get ham cans for 125 bucks or whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember 6.9 or 6.2 cents.
Holy cow.
It was when people were like, what is this? We don't even know if we want it. And I was like, give it to me.
It's corrosive.
Yeah, I went through the first few years, thousands of rounds. And yeah, I'm one of those. I have a sealed ham can. I've got the Apocalypse can that's not getting cracked. I've told people, I'm like, if you ever see me, if I ever post a picture of me opening that can, that's the seal.
That's the time.
That's like one of the broken seals right there.
It's time to grab your gun.
Yeah,
there you go. Well, since we're comparing our 545, man, nice Maxim. Joe is showing off his.
Yeah, he's flexing.
Yeah, he's flexing.
I have a throne of 545 at home.
So
Well,
you guys, for our,
see those doors behind me?
is it stacked to the
That's
ceiling?
halfway full with those crates.
I know where I'm coming. I'm coming to Marco's house. So for our listeners who are new into this, kind of explain the 7N6 to them.
Okay, all right. So go back to like a Soviet way of doing things. So it's never a one guy that designs something. It's always a team of designers. And the 7N6 actually accredited to a woman designer who came up with that particular cartridge, which is kind of like kind of breaks paradigm in a way. But in any case, so the obviously the Soviets realized how effective the subcaliber can be. Yep. Learning about the use of 5.56 cartridge in Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict. And they came up with this one, but they did it their own way. So they obviously based the casing and geometry of the casing, which is the bottle-like. So instead of being cylindrical, almost cylindrical, or 0.5 degree cant on it, they went with the 1.6. So just the same as the 7.62 by 39. And I'm about to run out of power over here. I don't know why. But anyway, I plugged it in and they're just not taking it, I guess. But anyway, so I'll finish.
That's what she said.
So the actual, other than low impulse and high velocity of that particular cartridge, or that projectile, the projectile itself, the way it's constructed with the steel core penetrator surrounded by a lead, a softer metal and heavier metal, and with the air cavity in the tip. And what happens in the impact, two things happen. The tip bends at one point and causing the round to yaw really dramatically. And the second thing happens, the steel penetrator moves, but pushed by the lead, moves forward, causing that round not just yaw, but also tumble. So, so obviously they achieved many things by introducing that round. First of all, making it, it can reach out and touch someone a little further. It can hit a target with a better probability, so it's more accurate. And it actually behaves much better in the full automatic range rate of fire. And then it's lethality. So a transfer of energy, I guess, if you do it scientifically. But anyway, so yeah, that's what happened with the introduction of that 7N6. Great round.
Perfect.
If you get a chance, buy it.
Oliver is a personal protection and security specialist. He cut his teeth as a United States Marine before leaving the Corps to provide private contract work for agencies outside the military. In private security work, he's always looking for the upper hand and unexpected advantage. Kel-Tec's P50 provides all of that and then some. This innovative pistol chambered in 5.7 has a 50-round magazine capacity in its semi-automatic platform. Its small caliber, high-velocity ammunition is a great personal protection round and is even used by law enforcement agencies and the Secret Service. Oliver likes that the P50 has an AR-like charging handle and that it can be slung for access and shooting stability. The P50 comes fitted with a threaded barrel if he wants to add a suppressor, and the upper and lower Picatinny rails let him accessorize it with lights and optics. This pistol, it redefines cool. Innovation, performance, Kel-Tec.
Absolutely.
Next question, Carter 9407. What was the big changes from the PM MD63 and the PM MD90 wanting to build a kind of period correct MD90 or MD63? Anybody know that? Let's look it up.
I know the MD63-65 is 760 by 39. Oh, that's the Aimer. It looks like an Aimer. Maybe that's a different name for the Aimer 76.
Yeah, that's where we kind of fall into the into the trap of playing
Conflict.
around with the numbers. I mean, the
conflict time.
Right, because it's the commercial, non-commercial, guard, not guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so I can't really.
So the original Romanian AKs were the pistol military models, 1963, with a fixed stock, and the PMMD 65 with an underfolding stock. Operating the PMMD 63 and PMMD 65 is basically the same as using an AKM. A carbine version of the PMMD 90, designed by the PMMD 90, was also introduced. It uses the PMMD 90 standard wire stock, folding straight receivers. Still 7.62 by 3.9. It's more comparable to a Russian AK 104.
It looks like it's an Aimer 76, but a different model number-ish name.
So he says it uses a
and then
side
the
folding
other-
wire stock and has a slant flash suppressor muzzle brake.
So basically, it's a Draco with one of these on it, kind of like the Aimer 76. I would personally, the MD90, I would go with the MD90 because of the side folder.
There you go.
We've got so I'm in retail today.
You in
so we
retail
got, like,
today?
customers in it.
I'm kind of the same.
All right, Bailey Mueller 80. Why no mass transition to 556223? They have been NATO members since 2004. The fact that they haven't left 545 for 556 in that time is unusual. An AIMS 74 pattern rifle and 556 would be like the Beryl we have at home, but still pretty sick. Well, we got two Marcos.
We have two Marcos.
His device froze.
I think it's because of the people that are around them and ammunition supply. I mean, it's crazy to go to an ammunition that your neighbors are not using. And you should take that in real life. If your neighbors are 45 guys, don't rely on them to grab ammo if y'all get in a stick.
Well, Joe, that brings up a great question. So with this, the U.S. Army's, what the F are they calling this SIG monstrosity shit?
Yeah, 6.8. The 6.8.
Yeah, so how does that jive with Stanek? And is every other NATO ally going to buy that?
Well, no, they're not going to buy it. We're going to give it to them.
Are they all going to switch?
We're going to give it to them. So, I mean, they're the same thing to have on 5.56. It's just it's going to be on a larger, faster scale. But, I mean, 5.56 is not going anywhere for at least 22, 25 years or so. So it's always going to be in the NATO Stanek lineup. I think the 277 Wolverine or the 6.8, I forget what the 6.8 version of it is on this one. I kind of dig it, and I think it's a great idea, especially to get that extra performance out of it. That two-piece cartridge is going to be really interesting to see how that works.
Isn't there a 6.8 blackout now?
I'm sure.
Shut your whore mouth.
No,
I'm sure.
No, there is a.
You mean the 8.6?
Is it the 8? That's what I'm thinking. 8.6.
8.6. Yeah,
I'm
8.6
dyslexic.
Oh, dude.
I've heard that's a badass round.
As an end user, this is what I'm telling you. Our Army is run by fucking criminals. They're fucking criminals. And they don't want to train the troops. They don't want to offend their fucking sensibilities, but they want to spend $1 trillion buying new expensive toys for them. It's fucking retarded and it's criminal. The fact that our military, that our government is spending all this money on new toys, and of course, if you just fuck it, look throughout history, why did we end up with some of the stuff that we ended up with? Because you've got lobbyists in Washington, and they're buying coke and hookers and steak dinners for these generals at the Pentagon to sell them crap
and art. Their kids' art.
Yeah, their kids' art or whatever the fuck it is.
Biden's art.
No, but you can't buy your way around a lack of training. You can't buy your way around a weakened army. When you weaken the army by poisoning them, and let's face facts, our army has been essentially decimated. All of these super serious hardcore guys said, I'm not taking your shot, go fuck yourself, and they got out. The ones that stayed in now are sick, and they're also slavish because they have the mentality like, well, I was told to take this poison shot, so I took it, and I'll do whatever they tell me to do. But getting back to hardware, this mad rush to buy these new guns is, and they're bigger and heavier. This new battle rifle is larger and heavier, and we've got soldiers that are weaker
Smaller
than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Because so they're going to give them a bigger, heavier gun.
They wear mini skirts.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get past this. Go. Let's finish these questions. Nikolai.
Hey, you brought me on, bitch.
I know. That's great.
You knew the repercussions,
and I like it. But we got to bounce off that. In honor of Joe being on the podcast, Nikolai Aplanap says he is wiping everything down with Ballistol. So there you go, Joe.
Wiping down, not like filling up the bathtub and just dipping it.
Just dipping it. Flood Munitions, our good buddy Evan. When shooting the Lord's Caliber 7N6, what's the best method for cleaning out all the delicious, delectable corrosiveness from my sweet, sweet 74? Well,
urine. Pee on it.
Nope.
Pee on it.
Seal 1 right here, baby. This is your best defense. Go to get you some Seal 1. It fights and helps prevent corrosiveness. So.
Well, can I comment on something? And I'm a mechanical engineer, but not a chemist. But just to kind of the basic chemistry, what you see as a corrosiveness on your gun is that bluish. I might even show it to you. Hold on just a sec.
You got some corrosiveness going on in one of your guns?
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
Joe's got one.
What is it? Yeah.
This is more copper fouling
with
some light corrosive primer.
See that bluish stuff on the tip?
Back it off just a little.
That's copper sulfate.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sulfate. That's a salt.
That's what just came out of my butt.
And the salt, it could be easy. It's very dilutable, and it could be washed away with nothing but water. But you can also use your regular hops solvent to remove it. So
it's called Seal 1.
It's left for like archaeologists to find, it's not going to harm your metal to the point where it will just disintegrate. So just using a regular hops, or even if you don't have it, just a warm water Seal 1 kit will remove it, no problem. And now the proud owner of that stuff, I actually used it, so it works pretty good. And as far as the tools are concerned, you got 10 of those that were issued to you by our Lord God.
Your booger pickers.
There you go,
Paul. 10 booger pickers. It's not a lot. Everybody has 10. Some people
have 9.5.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hot soapy water. Hot water is the key because it evaporates as fast as it can. But yeah, don't be afraid of corrosive ammunition. That's the stuff that's going to still be with us in 100 years for our children and our grandchildren to be able to fight.
But here's the thing with Seal 1, guys, and that's why I say Seal 1 is you put that in your guns before you shoot them. You treat it with the Seal 1 product, and it's going to prevent that corrosiveness that you're going to get from that. And it's definitely going to minimize it. So it's a lot easier to clean up with the soap and water that they're telling you to do afterwards.
Going back to the NATO thing, all the new ammunition that's being made right now is all the green ammunition. All the lead, all the mercury fulminates, all of the shelf stabilizers in ammunition is being taken out. They're artificially be given a shelf life of about 20 years. Past that, the ammunition is going to turn into unreliable. Much past that, it's going to be turned into nothing. So that's one of the compliance and one of the gun control measures that they are implementing on us is the shelf life ammunition. So don't be afraid of corrosive ammunition. It's still going to be there for you. It's still going to go bang in 100 years when your kids' need it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good point. A couple more here, and then we're going to give away shit. And I think we're gonna do something different for the Aklys Defense silencer giveaway. We're gonna make them work. We're gonna make them work for that, Joe.
We're going to make them submit an essay or something?
Yeah.
Trivia, yeah, it's a trivia essay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea, actually.
B. Hurst says, "Hey Marco, my bullpup with a bayonet is a Romy kit. Does that count?"
Is what? What was the last part?
He says, "My bullpup with a bayonet is a Romy kit, Romanian kit. Does that count?" Count as
counts as what?
A Romanian rifle, I guess.
Did you guys? I mean,
whenever they pick it up off your cold dead body, somebody can put regular furniture back on it. So yes, it counts.
Yeah, I think I already expressed my opinion on how much I love bullpups, right?
Yeah.
So I don't consider them as a viable a battlefield implement. However, it doesn't say that. I'm not saying that it doesn't have the right to exist. So everybody kind of like everybody has their own taste and stuff. But it's not the configuration; it's the guts of the gun. The idea behind it is what counts. And if it was originally a Romanian gun with the receiver and all the hammers and springs and stuff, and then bolt carriers and two locking lugs and rotating bolt, very similar to M1 Garand, then yes, it does count. But to have a bayonet and a bullpup is questionable.
All right. I think they were just having fun with you.
No, I mean, I hope I.
But you did a very distinguished job in answering that. Esom says, no question, but wanted to say a 12-inch Romy Draco with a CNC Warrior brace stock fits perfectly inside a Harley-Davidson saddlebag. Looking forward to this episode.
There you go.
The Draco, as bad as a reputation it has and kind of gets the heart of it, is a real battle gun. I mean, this was a military SBR style gun. I mean, this is now the micros and the mini Dracos.
Well, there's a question on that too. I didn't really want to get too much into that, but the question was basically why the mini and micro Draco.
Why?
Yeah, why do they exist?
America.
To separate thus from the green.
but if you look at the first appearance of that gun, right back in the early 80s, so maybe even the late 70s, maybe it was maybe to address, and I'm just spitballing right here.
Sure.
It's the same reason why the Soviets wound up fielding the AKS 74U for their tank crews, helicopter pilots, APC drivers and things like that. So to have a compact but yet compatible type of gun in the battlefield.
I was seeing if I could find who asked that, but
I think it's a great, and yeah, it's a section to fit the niche that the AK-74 used, the cranks, the Suchkas were there for.
Here we go. Ryan Reisner asked that. What was the idea behind the micro and mini Dracos? I love the mini for a fun gun.
Money separation device, and yeah, they are fun.
Money separation device. I like that.
But they're good guns. I like them. But the regular standard Draco is still one of my favorite platforms. This with a little 6 or 8 inch can on it, it's perfect use.
There you go. Tongue for twisting. Who has the best stock set since there are so many on the market?
Okay.
Paul, who do you think's got the best stock?
The best stock set?
Yeah, on the market for an AK.
You mean like aftermarket?
I guess. It just says best stock set since there are so many on the market. So yeah, I would say aftermarket.
Oh, that I don't build guns. I shoot guns. And Joe, I got a confession to make to you.
Uh-oh.
But back in the old days, like 12, 15 years ago plus, I got a washer with a dongle, and I immediately took it off and replaced the fore end with like a Midwest rail system. But today, I regret that. I wish
you sand that one
I
down.
had my original dongle just for aesthetics, so it looked like it did back then. Yeah. I appreciate aesthetics more now than I did 20 years ago.
Yeah, useful too. Yeah, but this is firewood.
So Joe's holding up a fore end.
That's $60 plus. That's somebody that didn't like the dongs. They whacked it off and turned a $60 plus collectible fore end into a piece of firewood.
I just had last Saturday. I had.
But no, here's the thing.
I taught the AK class, and one of the guys showed up with that thing, with the cut-off dongle.
Yeah, it wasn't useful for them, so they made it fit their purpose. So,
all right,
I can accept. Like a lot of people do the sharp.
Hey,
cut
they took your advice, Marco, and they used the file and the sandpaper.
All right, so talk about best stock sets.
Stock sets. So you're showing us
the new Alpha from Midwest Industries.
Oh yeah.
So you got long, and they have a short version, the handguard with the M-lock, that also supports the hinge mechanism for the top cover. And then it's the Zenitco style type of buttstock that is telescopic. It has movable cheek piece, and it also folds.
Nice. And that's all one set. They sell the buttstock.
No,
with
they
the
sell them
handguard?
individually, but this is the Alpha line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. And how easy was that to install?
Troy worked for 3 years on this stuff, and usually he sends me all his stuff, like to test or whatever, to write about. And he kept really, really quiet, and it just kept on saying, like, wait until you see me at the SHOT Show.
Yeah.
And at first glance, I thought he somehow scored the distributorship for Zenitco company or something. But then it was unmistakable choice ideas incorporated in this thing, make it more rugged, more user-friendly. You don't have to modify your gun like in the past. You had to cut off a sling attachment or your rear trunnion tang.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore.
Nice.
It goes onto your gun, and if one day you decide to swap it back to the original, you can do that.
Is that a 1913 for the stock attachment, or is it?
Yes, it is. So there's a block right here that goes into underneath the trunnion, right? And then you got your 1913 little Picatinny section that you attach your.
That you can attach that to. Nice.
Right. So he does it for a variety of variants, including all the Yugos and this and that and the other thing. And originally, so the way that his design works, if you fold it, there's a hex head, Allen key head screw that you loosen up, and you can rotate the knuckle and which means you can either fold it to the left or to the right, depending on what you want. However, with the new, but in that case, you have to modify the rear trunnion by cutting the stang. And then his new design that's got a block that you don't have to cut this off, but you can only fold it to the right. And in that case, I mean, I don't care. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
So I mean, I like it folded to the right. And in many cases, if it's a variant that's got the side mount,
got a lot of flexibility.
You want it to fold it to the right, not to the left.
Yeah, I like that. Very good. What about you, Joe? You got a preference on stocks?
Well, I like a lot of the standard AK stuff. I'm a big fan of the left side folder, unless it has an optic attached to it on that side rail.
Yeah.
I do like a right side folder is probably my preference. I think the Magpul Zukov is a great drop-in system. It's nice, locks up standard. It's got a good feel. It's just as solid and as accurate as a fixed stock, but the portability. On the front end, I'm really liking the Aklys Defense system, but it replaces everything. Great thermal movement, so it keeps that heat out of the handguard as long as possible. Outside of that, again, the Zukov stuff up front, and then the I haven't seen the Midwest, but the old RS Regulate system that went around like that. That's a great front end too.
Yeah.
But most of my go-tos
also got some stocks.
Most of my go-tos are going to have a Zukov stock, an Ultimac up front with some robust red dot, and then whatever I can put my hands on as far as a lower.
Yeah, I was saying Brian also has some stocks.
Yep, he sure does.
The 1913 attachment style.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of Brian's struts.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I think so.
So I really like this. I like his hex stock, or what used to be the hex stock. He's got a good story about why he no longer offers the hex stock.
Yeah, he talked about that on the show, about some people have phobias with that the honeycomb design.
Yeah.
It's like a real thing. It's crazy. But that's what I've got on the one up there now of his. I've got the non-phobia stock.
But everything should have...
Here's one right here.
Like all guns, all the pistols should have a Picatinny mount on the back.
Yeah. So this is the one he's got wood panels you can put in there now instead of those.
I'm not sure about the wood panels in the stock, but I do really like the M-Lock wood panels a lot.
Yeah. It's more for aesthetics, I think, than anything. Again, it's the release the money kind of thing.
Yep.
I think that's why he made those. But then it's funny because look at all his little pointers. They're the honeycomb things on his.
Well, here's the thing: if you talk to a lot of engineers and people that design things, honeycombs, it's one of the strongest structures.
Yeah.
That's around, and man didn't even develop it.
Bees did.
Yeah. It's the most it's the most efficient use of space, and it's one of the strongest structures possible.
Structure designed, yeah. All right, that does it for our questions. We still got a lot more. If I didn't get to your questions, apologize. Hit us up on the next episode. But everybody is still eligible to win the prizes, and we're going to start with Mission First Tactical and those AK grips, which this is what those grips are like. They've got two different kinds. They've got the ones with the adjustable back straps and the ones that don't have the adjustable. And they're both very nice. I use them both. So for the grips, did you guys have a favorite question that you really liked?
I do.
Okay, what is it?
Go, Marco.
Go, Marco.
It's close to my heart. So the person who asked about 7 and 6.
When shooting the Lord's caliber 7N6, what's the best method for cleaning?
No. I think there was the one before that.
Yeah, the other 7 and 6 question.
Thoughts on the future of the 545 as supply seems to be drying up?
Yeah, because Marty, remember you said for those who don't know, let's get into it.
Yeah, because that's what
we-
led to the 7N6, and then
That's what led to the conversation.
okay, so that would have been Midwest Savage. So
Perfect.
Midwest Savage. Shoot me an email, talkinglead@gmail.com. I'm going to need your mailing address, your contact info, all the stuff to send to Mission First so that they can send you your AK grip. Very cool. Next, let's give away the Seal 1. And I thought I had it pulled up. There it is. We're not giving away a universal cleaning rod kit this episode. But they do have these available for sale now. They've got their cleaning rod kits. So what about your second favorite question? Let me just go through here and randomly pick somebody. How about that? I'm going to go with Raider214. And Raider214 said, is there a particular Romanian rifle or parts kit that's available now that you see jumping in value over the next few years?
The Romy G kit.
Yeah.
Unless you can get any 545 kit of any kind or a crank kit, any of those are gonna be high value. But yeah, that sounds like a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then I couldn't remember what else I had to give away. So
Tray, you had a tray?
well, we did the grip, but yeah, we'll give a tray away too. How about that? We'll give an AK Corner tray away. Thaden83, how can you accurately distinguish? He asked that MD63 and early. Oh wait, how can you accurately distinguish between an MD63 and an early stamped Soviet AKM? Is there obvious differences? So yeah, I didn't ask that one.
The Arsenal mark, furniture.
Well, the dimples too.
Dimples, Arsenal mark,
Magwell.
furniture, and overall quality and finish.
Yeah. So there
Did
you
you
go.
say early Soviet AKM?
Yeah, between the early stamped Soviet AKMs and the PM MD63s. Is there an obvious difference?
Well,
Arsenal mark and furniture.
The dong.
yeah, and the dimples. But I'm thinking at one point Soviets start to paint them instead of just blue and finish. That's another telltale
From the
sign,
earlier
but-
ones. Gotcha.
But I think the Arsenal, like Joe said.
So there you go, Thaden83. You win a dump tray from Mission First Tactical. Everyone who won this episode, talkinglead@gmail.com. I need your contact info, your address, and we'll send you your booty. Now, Joe promised a giveaway on a silencer.
Yes, let's give away a can.
And we're going to give away a can. We're not going to give away this episode. We're going to give away next episode, Joe, and they're going to have to work for it. So you've got
to be on it then, huh?
You've got a trivia question that you want to throw out there, or
absolutely, and something that was mentioned and evolved in this episode.
Okay.
So they would have had to have watched this episode or been a true AKist.
Okay. To know this.
Okay.
And
Yep.
what is the question? So Joe,
what revolves around the AK round geometry that leads to its legendary reliability? There's something very important about the geometry of this case and this round, whether it's the 545 or 7.62 by 39. Why is it made that way?
So there you
Joe,
go.
Can I give a hint that reference to our
I
early
think you
discussion?
gave a very, very good hint already.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the answer lies in this episode.
I believe it does.
So
yeah.
there you go. So
That's
It's one of the
it.
biggest
So I
things
did
that a lot of
get-
people don't think about why AKs are so reliable. It's a whole system.
it's geometry.
What a great trivia question. And they have to watch this episode to find the answer.
They have to listen to this episode.
Or
to get
listen
the answer.
to it, yeah.
Yeah. Or they just know it. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
AKA why AK chambered ARs suck.
All right, so there you go. And Joe, do you have the can that we're going to be giving away? Show a picture of it. Tell what it is. And you've got until the next episode. So you've got a month, Leadheads, to get your answers.
So this is our new. So we just released our new dealer demo program. So we've got 2 Aklys boxes of silence. This is box A, and we have box B.
Can you wipe your camera lens off?
It won't. It's, well, maybe. Hold on, let me see.
I don't know if it's just your camera. Or if
I noticed it was super cloudy earlier.
Maybe it's just Louisiana.
No, it's worse.
That's better.
No, I'm kidding.
That's better.
I'm kidding.
All right, so out of the box of silence, we have our most favorite item, our 22 can. It's the lightest 22 can on the market, 2.4 ounces, lifetime warranted, full auto rated, $400 MSRP. So I'm going to give one of these away. Who needs a good 22 can?
Very nice.
Everyone.
But you got to be in one of the 42 free-ish states.
Yeah, you got to be able to have it to win it. So, does it come with that whole kit, or is it just the can? There you go.
No, just a can.
Okay, so
just the can.
Just the can. What's it called?
The Copus 22.
The Copus 22. So there you go. That's the booty. And I need to introduce you to Kraken cases, Joe. I showed you this at NRA, right?
Yeah.
The foam.
Yep. I like that foam.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, 800 degrees heat resistant up to.
Oh, nice.
Something like that. So you can throw a hot can in there. So there you go. Aklys Defense Copus is the big giveaway for the next Talking Lead AK Corner. Don't know what the topic is yet on that episode, but Joe's going to be on that episode. He asked me to award the winner, the giveaway there. So email me your answers, talkingled@gmail.com. Put in the subject, Joe Meaux question. How about that?
Put in the thing, silencer giveaway.
Okay, silencer giveaway. Yeah, even better. Leave it to Paul to simplify things for us. Perfect. I love that. So silencer giveaway, and then the answer to the question. And I guess I'll post the question also on social medias for people. Is that
sure? Yeah.
And then that way they have to come back to this episode and listen to it.
But let's say there's plethora of correct answers.
So how do we pick the winner?
What's the tiebreaker?
So here's what we're going to do. Everybody who answers it correctly, we're going to assign you a number, and then we're going to randomly number generate pick the winner.
You don't want them
like
to
that?
maybe attract the creative side and say maybe a 5 sentences minimum and describe your findings.
Marco is really liking the essay idea.
Yeah,
he really hits on the essay.
I'm a writer,
and I'm going to send them all to you to review, Marco.
All right, so I guess the simplified, what geometry the AK cartridges, the AK family of cartridges, gives its inherent reliability.
Okay, so Joe is going to email me the question specifically so I can put it up.
I'm not, just transcribe what I just said.
Yeah. Just email me that, and I'll post it. But you listeners have an early jump on it, so there you go. Perfect.
All right, guys.
Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. Really appreciate, Joe, you being on. Paul, thanks for being on. Marco, always appreciate you being on. Real quick, everybody, give your companies a plug and where everybody can find you.
Studentofthegun.com is where you find everything.
AklysDefense.com and all of the social media involved.
Well, since we are a multifaceted company, the company name is AppTech LLC. And since we do several things, I don't have a particular web page to go to. But as far as the silencers are concerned, it's disavowed.com, and where you can find the information on, or you can contact me on my the direct, mark.vorobiev@yahoo.com if you have questions, and I'll be happy to accommodate and answer.
There you go. Or if you've got questions for Marco, you can send them to me, and I'll forward them on to him as well.
That does. Please don't hesitate. I'm very receptive to any kind of questions, and I'll be happy to answer.
Very cool. And then you can also get Marco's book on Amazon, the AK-47 Most Prolific Evolution of the Most Prolific Firearm.
The survival and
all that other stuff.
Evolution of the world's most prolific gun.
Marco Vorobiev, and you'll find it. He's got a couple other books there too. Paul's got several books also. You can go to Student of the Gun. You got a new one out other than the one you.
Well, the newest one for me is the Beyond the Boo Boo book, and then there's James's book.
Yeah.
What's Beyond the Boo Boo, Paul? What is that?
Oh, it describes my 15-year journey to get people to just shut the fuck up and put a tourniquet on and save people's lives. So that's the short version.
It's the short.
Is it on Amazon? Can I find it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you just put Paul's name in there, and then someday, Paul, we're gonna do the book reviews for you boy.
For Nicholas Orr, you keep teasing me with that.
For Nicholas Orr.
But, yeah, Nicholas Orr's got the nonfiction, the Pipe Hitter's Guide series, and there's 3 of those. And then he's got the Operator series, and there's 5 of those.
5 of those too. Yeah.
How many of the Operator books have you read, Marty?
3.
3?
Yeah.
So you read Diomedes? Okay, good.
Yeah, I got the first 3 under my belt. So looking forward to that. We're gonna do it. We're definitely gonna do it. So
yeah.
But Leadheads, that does it for this episode of the Talking Lead AK Corner. Tune in next month, and between now and then, I want to see your answers to Joe's trivia question to give away the Aklys Defense
Copus 22.
Copus 22. There you go. All right, guys. Till then, out.